Berserk, Volume 1, Chapter 2, The Brand. Now, after Chapter 1, Guts is continuing his journey. He's basically going by himself, lone wolf status, and Puck is following him. And when Puck finally meets up with him, he sees the wounds that he healed are opening up again. Now, I find it very interesting that Puck says, I never believed in monsters, this, that, and everything. These are things that you would see in epic poems or myths, but you're living it, Guts. You're living it. Wait a second. He's talking about monsters and everything, but he's a little fucking fairy that's called an elf in this series. I'm like, these are things you only hear about in myths, but you're an elf, dude. You're not even a human, so you fall in the same category as as the things you're speaking of. So either way, we get to see more of Guts' personality, even though it's pretty much the same stuff that we see in Chapter 1. He's just very aloof. He doesn't care about other people, or at least he seems like he doesn't care about other people. He has to worry about himself. This brand of sacrifice, we find out, summons the demons. I kind of had that idea in Chapter 1, but it summons these evil spirits / demons, whatever, to come after him. It almost seems like it makes him their next meal. It makes him basically be like, it's catnip for these motherfuckers, basically. Like, it's like slathering on barbecue sauce on the human's flesh, and it makes these motherfuckers come out of nowhere and want to eat him. And as he's, traveling, he tells Puck to get the fuck out. He goes, I don't like elves. I don't like you. You're weak. If you're weak, I don't want you around me. Weak people buzz around and talk or whatever until they're squashed or crushed. He goes, I want to crush weaklings, this, that, and everything. So he goes by the saying, the strong will live and the weak will die. Or at least that's what I feel about Guts. And as he's traveling, a carriage comes up and we see a priest inside, and he says, why don't you hop on board? And Guts says, you might want to just leave me be. And he goes, nonsense, basically come on board. And Guts is like, I'm telling this for your own good. And he goes, I have evil spirits tracking me. And at first this guy thought he was kidding around, and he goes, I have God on my hand, because he's a priest, and, he's like, I don't like priests or whatever. But he gets on, Puck's on there, and Puck's like, I was here first, man, you can't say nothing about it. The girl, which we find out her name is Colette, she's being nice to Guts. She's giving him some warm wine, tucking him in the bed, making him all cozy, trying to accommodate their guest. And as he dozes off, he starts to have a dream, and we find out that these evil spirits, these demons, are actually chasing him even in his dreams, turning his dreams into nightmares, and following him into his mind while he sleeps, not even allowing him to sleep. And to me, that's just insane. Like, okay, it's one thing if they're tracking you down on the physical plane, but they're actually haunting you while you sleep, not allowing you to sleep. That is some hardcore stuff. And I can't even imagine what kind of world he has to live in. And, at first Puck was like, I want to follow you. You're going to be able to show me things I could only, dream of, things that you hear about in myths and epic poems, etc., etc. But then at the end of the chapter 2, The Brand, he realizes this is the world Guts lives in. And the reason why I say that is because Guts wakes up and he's stabbing an incubus. And we find out the incubi are made from a mix of blood and sexual fluids from people that died that were filled with malice and hatred. And this tells him that if this thing was able to attack him in his sleep, that there are bandits or somebody else that died violently that are filled with malice and anger around them somewhere. Well, he gets out of the carriage and he basically says, you guys stay the fuck inside, don't come out, this is dangerous. He goes, there's probably like thugs that are dead or whatever, and the evil spirits will possess these corpses to attack Guts. Well, Colette, like an idiot, gets out because the horses are kind of like, ooh, like going crazy and shit. And he goes, you stupid girl. Next thing we know, she gets stabbed through the stomach. And I'm like, this is it. This is a dark fantasy. Characters you're just introduced to being offed instantly. Stabbed through the stomach, gets thrown away to the side. And Guts starts fighting, all these corpses, these skeleton warriors, these corpses that these evil spirits have possessed. Now, he says, what do I care, about these people? I told them not to get involved. But as she got stabbed, he kind of seems like, oh my god, like you could tell he somewhere inside of him didn't want that to happen. And then as he's fighting these warriors, he's all beat up. He's trying to fight for his last breath. And not the animation, the artwork is so beautiful. The look on Guts' face as he battles these undead warriors, it's just filled with rage and exhaustion and just like fear. It's amazing. And then Puck says, Guts! And we see somebody holding the old priest's head. And, the priest said he doesn't like mercenaries and whatnot while they were talking on the thing. But Guts seems like he didn't want this to happen either, even though he said, they didn't really get along, like, as far as him being a mercenary and whatnot. And we even see Guts at one point say, the guy says, my nephew went off to be a mercenary. And Guts says, what's wrong with him dying? He goes, he lived his life freely. He lived his life the way he wanted to live. That probably made him happy or whatever. But now we see who's holding this dude's head. And it's his own daughter. The daughter is now possessed by these evil spirits because she just died. And she comes walking up to Guts, and Guts is kind of like shocked. He doesn't know what to do. I don't understand why he stood there. Maybe because he didn't like. He tries to act tough and cold and whatnot, but he didn't want these two innocent people to die. You really can see that. And he's just standing there, and next thing you know, he gets stabbed by Colette, and then he just cuts her in half. And after he cuts her in half, her blood splatters on his face, and he's just like, huh? And he touches his face, and you can see he's not as cold. It just reaffirms that he's not as cold as he tries to make himself out to be. He doesn't want innocent people to die. He doesn't. He acts like it's not his fault that this happened, but that he knows it is his fault, and he didn't want these people to get wrapped up in this. The talk that he talks about, he talks the talk, but he tries to walk the walk. Saying, the weak will die, the strong will live. Why should I have to worry about who gets caught up in this? Why, if I have to worry where I walk, then I can't walk at all. Things like that. But then he cuts her in half, and then the battle continues. He starts throwing up. He's battling to exhaustion. He's still beat up from the prior battle at Coca Castle. And as he starts to walk away, Puck comes up to him, and Puck's like thinking to himself, this is the world Guts lives in. Almost like he can't imagine how Guts has been living this way. And he pretty much made a mistake by wanting to follow Guts, like saying he wants to see monsters and whatnot. But now he's starting to realize what kind of hell the main character is living in. And it comes to a point where Puck is like, it's not your fault. And Guts is like, just starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. He's like, you're right, it's not my fault. I told them, I warned them, whatever. He goes, why should I have to worry about that? They were too weak to keep themselves alive by being with a walking disaster like myself. This, that, and everything. He goes, if I have to worry about crushing ants, then I won't be able to walk at all. And he just goes back to that cold demeanor, the aloof demeanor, like he doesn't give a fuck. But what we've seen in that battle, how he hesitated to attack Colette and allowed her as an evil spirit to stab him, showed me that he does, somewhere deep down inside of him, regret getting on that wagon and allowing them to give him a ride. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's what I gained, and that's what I gathered from this chapter. Chapter 2, The Brand. Let me know your thoughts on the chapter, guys. Let me know your thoughts on my thoughts. Hit the like button if you think I deserve it. If you're a new viewer and you're a fan of Berserk and you're a fan of anime and manga in general and you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit that subscribe button if you like. And that's all I really have for you guys. Thanks for watching. This has been my review for Chapter 2 of Berserk, The Brand. Well, entitled The Brand. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next Berserk review.